Welcome, beautiful soul. I'm so glad you're here tonight. This story belongs to a woman the world barely noticed. She wasn't famous or loud. She was a mother, a nurse, a woman who carried her family through every long night. Her name was Dana Matthews, and what started as a few words in an old notebook became a voice that would one day be heard. So sit with me, breathe for a moment, and listen. Because even quiet women leave echoes that never fade. The city wakes slow. Morning light glides across wet sidewalks, turning puddles into gold. Buses hum, coffee pots hiss, and somewhere in that mix, a woman ties her shoes, slips her badge into her pocket, and steps out of a quiet apartment that smells like lemon cleaner and lavender lotion. The camera lingers on her face, calm but tired, eyes carrying years she never complained about. A siren fades in the distance. She locks the door and walks toward the street, shoulders squared against the day. The screen fades to black as her voice begins. Before anyone opened her journal, Dana Matthews looked like any other woman people passed at the grocery store. 48 years old, mother of two, night shift nurse at Mercy West Hospital. If you saw her at sunrise, you'd probably think she was on her way to work, not coming from it. Her life moved between alarms and coffee cups, between bright hospital lights and the soft glow of her small apartment. Every year, the silence inside her grew louder. Every evening at 6:30, she tied her hair back, pinned on her badge, and called through the hallway, telling Marcus to lock the door and Aaliyah not to stay up too late on her phone. The door clicked shut behind her, and the city swallowed her whole. To her neighbors, she was that kind nurse from 3B. To her co-workers, the reliable one. To her kids, she had become background noise.
I never planned for my life to shrink into work and sleep. But love costs more than people think. Every grocery trip, every bill paid late but still paid, every night I stayed awake so my kids could rest, that was love too. I tell myself that when loneliness gets too loud, some nights I stare at the wall and promise it's only temporary. But years pass and the quiet learns my schedule. I keep saying I'll find time to breathe, but something always needs me first. Love is heavy, and I carry it like overtime I'll never get paid for.
Aaliyah, 24, used to joke that her mom was half human and half scrubs. It wasn't cruel. It was her way of naming the distance. She just started her first marketing job downtown, the kind of place where people bragged about balance and bottomless coffee. When coworkers asked about her family, she'd smile and say, "Mom's a nurse." Mostly nights. Marcus, 20, didn't say much at all. He'd grown into a quiet man, the kind who flinched when voices got sharp. Maybe because home had lived on whispers for so long. If anyone questioned his mother, he defended her quick. "She's working, man. You don't know tired till you've seen her shoes." One morning, Dana's body finally gave up pretending she wasn't exhausted. Halfway through her shift, her phone buzzed inside her scrub pocket. 3 missed calls. She couldn't answer. A patient was crashing. When the monitors calmed, she checked her messages. One from Aaliyah's counselor. Another from Marcus's advisor. Both polite, both asking the same question. "Where are you, Mom?" She stared until the letters blurred. Someone called her name, and she slid the phone away. By the time her shift ended, the sunrise looked too bright for how she felt. She stopped for a cinnamon roll because sweetness had become her apology language. Driving home, the radio whispered an old R&B song she hadn't heard since her 20s. The apartment was quiet. On the counter sat a note in Aaliyah's neat handwriting. "Mom, we don't need you to be a hero. We just need you home." The frosting slid off the pastry before she blinked.
I didn't cry. I just stood there until the clock ticked past 8:30. Then I pulled an old notebook from my bag and wrote one line across the first page. Tonight I start keeping proof. Not for pity, for truth. If love ever gets mistaken for absence, these pages will speak louder than my silence. I fell asleep on the couch with my shoes still on, sunlight warming my face. 4 hours later, I woke and reread my own handwriting pressed deep into the page. That night, I poured another cup of gas station coffee and opened the notebook again. The first entries were messy half-patient notes, half prayers. Each line sounded like me trying to find my way back to myself.
At work, the air smelled like sanitizer and burnt coffee. Gloria Evans, mid-50s and motherly by habit, watched Dana rub her wrists. "Girl, you ever think about taking a vacation? You look like you're running on fumes." Dana laughed under her breath. "Vacation's a rich woman's word, Glow." Gloria sighed. "You've earned one, honey." "Maybe after rent forgets my name," Dana said, and they both laughed. It wasn't funny, but it helped. That exchange followed her home like perfume. Marcus was half asleep on the couch, controller in hand. She brushed his hair back and whispered, "Good night, baby." Love in that home lived in small things no one noticed. She sat at the table, opened her notebook, and started writing again.
Some nights I wish I could freeze time right here. Marcus breathing easy, Aaliyah chasing her dreams, me finally still for a second. Peace feels fragile, like something borrowed that the world will soon take back. But for these few quiet minutes, everything fits. The bills can wait. The phone can stay silent. I can just exist without proving anything to anyone. Maybe that's what rest really means, being unneeded for a while.
Stillness never lasted. The next day the counselor called again, asking for an in-person meeting. Dana promised to come Friday after her shift, even if it meant no sleep. That night she filled 2 more pages, her handwriting firmer now.
If I collapse tomorrow, they'll write dedicated nurse on my file. But that's not my whole story. Dedicated mother. Exhausted woman. Tired believer. Those words never make the form. Maybe one day my kids will read this and know I was more than the hours I worked. Maybe they'll see that love can be quiet and still mean everything. I just hope they forgive how invisible I had to be to keep them standing.
When morning came, she drove straight to Marcus's campus. He spotted her first. "Ma, you okay?" She smiled, brushing lint from his hoodie. "Just making sure you're eating something green once in a while." He laughed. "There's lettuce on my burger. That count?" "Barely," she said. Before leaving, she slipped a 20 into his hand. "For books." "Mom, keep it. Let me feel like I did something right today." In the car, she grabbed her notebook again.
Sometimes love looks like a $20 bill you can't afford to give. Sometimes it's giving anyway. That's the kind of math mothers know. You subtract from yourself until someone else adds up. Nobody claps for it, but it's what keeps the world turning. I hope one day they understand this kind of giving isn't weakness. It's the strongest thing I've ever done.
Friday morning came too soon. Mercy West's parking lot glowed under harsh fluorescent lights. Dana sat in her car, hands gripping the steering wheel. "Lord, help me hold it together one more hour." She hadn't eaten or slept. The hum of the hospital still buzzed in her ears. The drive to the college felt endless. Every stoplight reminded her she should be asleep, not trying to prove she was a good mother. Inside, parents with coffee cups and clipboards filled the halls. She caught her reflection in a glass door. Her uniform looked worn, her face older than she remembered. She lifted her chin anyway. "Ms. Matthews." A woman in a burgundy blazer called out. That was Renee Hernandez, the counselor who'd left the messages. Polite tone, careful smile. "Thank you for coming. I know your schedule's tight." "Came straight from work," Dana said. "What's going on with Lily?" "Aaliyah's missed a few internship hours," Hernandez replied. "She mentioned some family stress." The words stung more than they should have. "She's fine," Dana said. "Probably tired." Hernandez nodded kindly. "We just want to make sure she has support at home." "Support looks different when you get off work at sunrise," Dana answered softly. "But she's got love. Don't doubt that." Outside, the sun felt too sharp. She sat in her car, staring at the wheel until her hands ached. Then she opened her notebook again.
Today someone looked at me like I was failing. They don't know how much I've given just to stay standing. If they saw the nights I count pills by flashlight and still remember every child's birthday, maybe they'd choose a softer word than concern. I'm not broken. I'm just tired of proving I'm enough. But I'll keep showing up, even if no one claps when I do.
At home, the air smelled like detergent and leftover noodles. Marcus was gone, Aaliyah asleep on the couch. Dana dropped her keys quietly and watched her daughter breathe. "You have no idea how hard I fight for you," she whispered, brushing a strand of hair from her face. Then she went to her room and finally rested. A few hours later, Aaliyah woke to the sound of the washing machine. Her mom's scrubs hung damp on the door. She scrolled her phone and saw a message from her father, Eric. "Hey baby girl. You know I tried with your mom. She just never let me in." Aaliyah typed she works too much, then deleted it. She sent "Yeah, I'm good." She didn't notice the small brown notebook tucked under folded laundry. Later that day, Dana woke to reheated leftovers. Aaliyah was setting the table, eyes on her phone. Ma. "Hey baby." The air between them felt thin. Dana tried small talk. "How's your project coming?" "Fine. Ms. Hernandez said she'd email you." "She already did." "Oh." Silence filled the room. "Mom," Aaliyah said, "people notice when you're never there. They ask questions I can't answer." "What do you tell them?" "That you're working. Always working."
I wanted to tell her that work is how I love them. That every missed dinner was a bill paid, every sleepless night a door kept open. But logic doesn't fix disappointment. Kids don't see sacrifice, only distance. One day she'll understand, but not today. All I can do is keep showing up and hope love outlasts the noise.
When Marcus came home, she was still at the table. "You good, Ma?" "Yeah, baby." "How was class?" "Fine. Ms. Hernandez called me too." "She what?" "Wanted to check on the household dynamic. Told her we're fine." Dana smiled faintly. She looked at me like a case file. "Her loss," Marcus said. "She don't know you. I wish the world saw me through your eyes." That night, after he went to bed, Dana sat by the window with her tea and her journal. City lights flickered beyond the glass as she wrote. The next evening at Mercy West started like every other shift. A patient's chart showed the wrong dosage with Dana's name beside it. She looked at it for a long time, feeling that same quiet sting of blame she didn't deserve. Across the room, Mr. Collins kept his head down, pretending to check reports that didn't need checking. For years, Dana had let things like this pass. But tonight, something in her refused to stay quiet. When the floor settled, she sat at the desk and wrote everything clearly. Times, names, details, truth. No anger, no scene, just her side of the story in plain ink. She left the report for the supervisor, clocked out, and walked to her car without a word. At the stoplight near home, she watched the hospital lights fade in the mirror and whispered, "Let the truth speak for itself." Morning light crept through the blinds, soft but persistent. 3 weeks had passed since the report that changed everything at Mercy West. The halls looked the same white light, the same smell of disinfectant, but something around Dana had shifted. People who once looked past her now nodded when she walked by. No one apologized, but the gossip had done its work. Everyone knew the truth now. The error they whispered about had never been hers. Hospitals didn't do apologies. They just moved on and expected you to be thankful for the silence. Mr. Collins's transfer happened quietly. One morning his locker was empty, a new nameplate on the charge desk. The staff acted like it was routine, but everyone knew. For Dana, it wasn't victory, it was confirmation. One report, one steady refusal to stay quiet, and the truth had found its way to daylight. She didn't celebrate, she just kept working. Her steps felt heavier but certain, as if the floor finally respected her weight.
I didn't shout, didn't argue, and didn't make a scene. I just wrote down what happened and refused to erase it. That was enough. For years I believed change only came loud, but sometimes it comes from a steady voice that never bends. Maybe the power isn't in volume, but in endurance. You keep showing up, you keep telling the truth, and even silence learns your name. I used to think patience was weakness. Now I know it's how justice breathes.
The new charge nurse, Ms. Bryant, was nothing like Collins. Early 40s, calm, smart eyes that saw everything. She ran the floor with quiet order. After their first shift together, she pulled Dana aside in the hallway. "You've been here a long time, right?" "Long enough," Dana said. Ms. Bryant smiled. "Good. I need someone who knows how things really work, not how they're supposed to." It was the first real acknowledgement Dana had heard in years.
She didn't flatter me or pity me. She just recognized what I bring to the table. That's all I ever wanted. I don't need trophies, I need respect that doesn't sound like charity. Maybe this job wasn't the thing killing me. Maybe it was the lack of being seen. It's strange how one honest person can change the air in a whole room. Suddenly the same place feels lighter just because somebody finally looked at you and said, "I see you."
By the end of the week, Ms. Bryant asked Dana to mentor 2 new nurses. "You don't have to babysit," she said. "Just show them how to survive the nights." Dana laughed. "If I ever figure that out, I'll write a book." She said yes anyway. Teaching others gave her comfort, like passing on armor she had built the hard way. At home, something small began to shift too. Aaliyah started cooking more, leaving leftovers with notes that said, "Eat this first." Marcus took over laundry duty. None of it was dramatic. They just started noticing the space their mother had been holding for years. The apartment felt less like a waiting room and more like a real home again.
Mom has always been the center of gravity in this house, but lately she feels lighter. Not weaker, not smaller, just lighter, like something heavy finally rolled off her shoulders. I used to think she stayed quiet because she didn't care, but now I understand it was because she cared too much. She didn't talk because she was busy surviving. Every time I saw her come home with that tired smile, I assumed she was choosing work over us. Now I know she was choosing us over herself. It hurts in a strange way, realizing that kind of love. It makes me want to be softer with her, to pay attention to the woman behind the uniform. She's still my mom, but I can finally see her as a person too. Maybe that's what growing up really means, seeing the sacrifices for what they are instead of what they took away.
One Saturday morning, Dana sat on the couch with her coffee while Aaliyah scrolled beside her. The TV murmured softly in the background. "Your friend Ms. Hernandez called," Dana said. Aaliyah looked up, surprised. "Really?" "Yeah." Asked if I'd speak at some workshop thing about work-life balance. Aaliyah laughed. "You're like their success story now." Dana smirked. "Funny way to spell tired." They both laughed, and that sound felt easy for once. It was new ground between them.
I never planned on teaching anyone about balance. I still don't have it. But maybe that's the point. Nobody does. You just keep showing up, even when your body says stop, even when no one notices. Maybe that's what real strength looks like, doing the work anyway. If someone hears my story and keeps going one more day, then maybe all those sleepless nights meant something after all.
2 weeks later, Dana stood behind a small podium at the community workshop. The crowd was a mix of nurses, students, and counselors. Ms. Hernandez introduced her with a short story about integrity under pressure. Dana kept her hands steady, took a breath, and began to speak. "I've been a nurse for 23 years. You'll make mistakes. You'll get blamed for things you didn't do. And you'll keep working anyway. That's the job. But don't let the system decide your worth. They'll measure you with numbers and charts. Measure yourself by the faces that trust you. The people you help will remember long after the paperwork's gone." The room was quiet now. "And one more thing," she said. "Write things down. Not just patient notes. Write your truth. One day, you'll need to remind yourself who you are." The applause was small but real. Ms. Hernandez smiled from the back of the room. Afterward, a younger nurse came up to her and said, "I almost quit last month. Hearing you made me stay." Dana nodded, smiled, and said, "Then it was worth it."
I used to think speaking up was for people who liked the sound of their own voice. Turns out it's for people who finally believe what they're saying. I used to worry about making waves. Now I see waves are how we move forward. Maybe every word that used to scare me was just waiting for the right moment to come out. Today it finally did, and I think I needed to hear it as much as they did.
Back at the hospital, things started to change. People asked her opinion more often. Ms. Bryant mentioned putting her name in for a policy committee. "You've seen more nights than anyone here," she said. Dana licked. That's not always a compliment. But inside she felt proud. Not loud proud, just quiet, earned pride. That night, Marcus saw her writing in the journal again. "You still do that every day?" he asked. "When I can." "You ever gonna let us read it?" "Maybe one day," she smiled. He nodded. "Fair. I'm proud of you, Ma." Dana looked up, touched. "You're supposed to let me say that to you." "Too late," he grinned.
Sometimes I forget my kids are grown. They don't need me to fix everything anymore. They just need to know I'm okay. Maybe that's what parenting becomes, a quiet exchange of strength. I used to think love only flowed one way, but it comes back when you least expect it. Hearing my son say he's proud of me, that's the kind of healing no medicine could ever give.
That night, Dana went to bed without setting an alarm. For the first time in years, she didn't feel panic about oversleeping or guilt for resting. Just peace. When she woke the next morning, sunlight cut across her room, soft and golden. For once, she didn't feel behind. Sunday mornings used to mean rushing, grocery lists, and noise. This one felt different. Aaliyah moved in the kitchen. Marcus played music behind his door. The silence felt gentle this time, not heavy. Dana sat at the table with Marcus as he sorted bills. "I can cover internet this month," he said. "You sure?" "Positive." She smiled and pushed the envelope toward him. It was a quiet handoff of weight, the kind that shifts everything without sound.
I always thought being a man meant leaving home fast. Now I see it also means staying long enough to help rebuild what held you. Mom never asked for help, but you don't need permission when the struggle has been in front of you your whole life. Covering one bill won't fix our story, but it's a start. For years she carried all of us.
Later that afternoon,
now I get to carry her,
Dana cleared
even
a
just
small
a little.
corner near the window and set up a chair and a lamp. "This is my spot now," she said. Marcus smiled. "You claiming territory?" "Every queen needs a chair," she laughed. She didn't know it then, but that chair would become her peace. Her notebook rested beside it, pages filling fast, each one a step closer to the woman she was finally learning to be.
I've spent my whole life keeping other people's worlds from falling apart. I forgot I was allowed to build my own. This little chair by the window isn't much, but it's mine. It's my reminder that I deserve to rest, to think, to exist without rushing. From now on, I'll write here every night, no matter how tired I am. Because every page I fill
Morning
is
crept
another
in
piece
slowly,
of myself
more
I refuse to
continuation than
lose.
beginning. Dana stirred on the couch, the blanket twisted around her legs, last night's mug still on the windowsill. Her phone blinked with a message. "Ms. Hernandez here. I'd like to stop by today for a quick home check-in if that's okay." For a moment she considered ignoring it. Then the nurse in her texted back, "Sure. After 1 p.m. works." She cleaned the apartment the way tired women do when they expect to be judged. Counters wiped, floors swept, signs of living tucked out of sight. Aaliyah's jacket still hung over the chair. Marcus's textbooks covered the small table. Every surface told on them a little. She poured coffee and watched neighborhood kids run for the bus, their laughter soft and far away. By noon she had changed into jeans and a clean sweater. When the knock came, She breathed once before opening the door. Ms. Hernandez stood there with her tablet, polite smile ready. Good afternoon, Ms. Matthews. Thank you for letting me drop by. Dana stepped aside. Kumain. Sorry it's small. We make it work. Sunlight touched family photos on the wall. Aaliyah at graduation. Marcus at his science fair. Dana and Scrubs holding them both. You've raised beautiful children, Ms. Hernandez said. Trying to, Dana replied with a tired smile. They sat at the table. I just want to get a clearer picture of home life, the counselor began. The college flagged some concerns. Attendance, emotional stress. Nothing serious. We're just being proactive. That word landed heavy. Proactive. The polite cousin of suspicious. Aaliyah's fine, Dana said evenly. She's just figuring herself out. We miss each other's daylight sometimes, but we talk. We're good. Do you have family nearby? My mama in Georgia. She prays more than she calls. And their father? Not in the picture. The counselor nodded, fingers still moving across the tablet.
They keep asking about support like love needs witnesses to count. They don't see the rent receipts on the fridge or the meals stretched till payday. They don't see Marcus waiting up till he hears my keys, or Aaliyah saving me the last piece of cake. If I scrub hard enough, maybe they'll think we're okay, but clean floors don't mean peace. I wish people understood that some homes are held together by willpower and inside jokes. I'm tired of proving normal when survival should be enough. Maybe what they call missing pieces are just sacrifices we stopped explaining. If love could talk, it would sound like this tired heartbeat still showing up anyway. I may not have a network, but I have roots
The
that
visit
won't
ended
quit.
the same polite way
That
it
should
began.
count for something.
Ms. Hernandez promised to follow up and left with her gentle professionalism intact. When the door shut, Dana leaned against it, feeling smaller though she'd done nothing wrong. Marcus peeked from his room. Who was that? Just Aaliyah's counselor. She looking for Aaliyah or you? Both, apparently. He frowned. You okay, Ma? Yeah, baby. Go finish your paper. He lingered, reading her silence like text he finally understood. That afternoon, Dana tried to rest but couldn't. Every polite phrase replayed in her head. Support network. Family stress. Each one sounded like someone quietly doubting her worth. When Aaliyah came home, Dana was ironing her uniform. Hey, she said carefully. Hey, Aaliyah answered, dropping her bag. I met Ms. Hernandez today. Aaliyah froze. She came here. Yeah, said she wanted to see how we're doing. Aaliyah rolled her eyes. Great. Now I'm the problem kid. Baby, nobody said that. They just care about you. Care? She asked if I feel safe at home. Dana's hand stopped mid-press. She what? Aaliyah nodded. Like we're some case study. I told her we're fine. She didn't believe me either. Silence filled the room again. Aaliyah grabbed her jacket. I'm going for a walk. Dinner's in the oven. Not hungry. The door clicked shut. Marcus appeared quietly. She'll come back, he said. Dana nodded. I know. He hugged her tight, surprising them both. Ma, people don't get it, but I do. When he walked away, she finally set the iron down and reached for her journal.
Today they studied my life like a checklist and still missed the story. They didn't see Marcus's hug or Aaliyah's fight to protect what's ours. They didn't feel the love hiding inside every electric bill I managed to pay on time. They don't know how it feels to be inspected and still stand tall. I won't let them tell me my family is incomplete because our table is small. We are whole in the ways that matter. If this world ever doubts it, my pages will testify for me. Maybe one day someone will read this and see the truth beneath the tired. Every word I write is proof that we are
That
more
evening
than what
the
they
city
measure.
hummed through the
And
walls
that's
while
enough
Dana
for
lay
tonight.
still, eyes open listening. Sometime after midnight she heard the door creak. Aaliyah's quiet footsteps crossed the floor. "Night, Mom," came a whisper from the doorway. Dana smiled into the dark. "Night, baby." Outside, the streetlights flickered, and inside, peace returned in the softest way possible. The morning moved fast inside Mercy West. Machines beeped, carts rolled, and tired voices traded orders in the hallway. Dana Matthews stepped onto the floor with the same steady walk she had carried for years. She had survived long nights, double shifts, and silent judgments, but today her body felt slower. Her smile stayed, but it no longer reached her eyes. She clocked in. Ms. Bryant, the new charge nurse, noticed the way Dana adjusted her shoulder like the weight had doubled overnight. A few feet away, Ms. Carter, the senior supervisor, watched with the same quiet concern. Both women saw what the rest of the staff missed. Dana pushed through rounds. Charting, vital checks, medication runs. Her hands worked with skill, but her breathing felt tight. When she bent to help a patient sit up, the room tilted for a second. She held the rail and waited for the world to settle. Later at the desk, Ms. Bryant walked over. "Everything all right today?" Dana nodded. "Just tired. It will pass." Ms. Carter stepped closer. "You look worn out, Dana. You want to take the rest of the day?" Dana shook her head quickly. "No. I am fine. I can finish my shift." They exchanged a quiet look. Respect lived in their eyes, but concern lived deeper. During break, Ms. Carter asked her to sit for a moment. The room was still except for the hum of the vending machine. Dana rested her hands in her lap, holding her worries still. She took a long breath. "Ms. Hernandez came to my home. She thinks my kids are struggling because of me. She asked if they even feel safe. She thinks I am failing at the one thing I work the hardest for." Her voice trembled even though she tried to hide it. Ms. Bryant leaned forward, speaking gently and direct.
"I have not been here long, but I see you. I see how you show up tired and still give your best. I see how your patients trust you because you make them feel safe. I see how your kids call you during breaks just to hear your voice. People judge from distance. I judge from standing next to you every night. You are not failing. You are carrying more than anyone understands."
Ms. Carter placed her hand on the table, steady and warm.
"You have carried this hospital for years. You have carried your family even longer. That kind of weight breaks anyone. You deserve a day to breathe. Take a rest. We will pull a temporary nurse for your shift. You do not have to prove anything that is already true about you." Dana shook her head gently. "If I go home early, they will think I am slipping. I cannot give Ms. Hernandez more reasons to think something is wrong with us. My kids already feel like I am not there. I have to prove I am solid."
Ms. Carter squeezed her hand. "You do not have to prove what is already true." But Dana still finished her shift. She moved through every room, every chart, every call light, pretending the heaviness in her legs and the tightness in her chest were normal. By the time she walked to the parking lot, her vision blurred for a moment. She blamed stress. She blamed hunger. She blamed everything except the truth. At home she did not speak. She walked straight to her bedroom and sat on the edge of the bed to pull off her shoes. The room tilted. Her hand reached for the dresser and missed. Her body hit the floor with a soft thud that carried through the apartment. Aaliyah heard it first. "Mom." No answer. Marcus sprinted down the hallway. They lifted her head, called her name, panic shaking their voices until the ambulance siren replaced their fear with noise. The hospital lights looked different when you were the one lying under them. Machines hummed beside her. For lines curled from her arm. Dana drifted in and out, hearing a soft buzzing where thoughts used to be. Hours later she woke weak and pale. Aaliyah sat on one side, Marcus on the other, their faces tight with fear they tried not to show. "Mom," Aaliyah whispered. "Please do not say you are okay." Dana closed her eyes. For once she did not pretend. When her kids stepped out to talk with the nurse, Dana reached for the nightstand. Her voice was too faint to call anyone. She pulled out her journal. opened to a blank page, and steadied her breath.
I thought strength meant showing up no matter how much it hurt. Now I see strength is knowing when your body cannot carry what your heart still tries to lift. They call me tired, but do not know the truth under that word. Tired is caring without witnesses. Tired is loving without breaks. Today my body forced me to stop. Maybe it was the only way left to save me. If my kids ever read this, I hope they see I was not distant. I was breaking quietly while trying to hold all of us together.
2 days later they brought her home. She moved slower. She spoke softer. Aaliyah watched from the hallway, noticing every wince she tried to hide and every breath she forced to steady.
I used to think Mom was made of steel. Now I see she was made of love, and love wears down when nobody protects it. I wish I had seen her earlier, the real her behind the uniform. Maybe I could have helped. Maybe I could have been softer. Watching her now scares me. It feels like something inside her is fading, something she tried so long to hide.
Marcus tried to stay strong, but at night he sat on the edge of his bed with his head in his hands.
I should have checked on her more. I should have looked up from my work and seen the signs. She never asked for help, so I let myself believe she did not need it. Now I hear that sound of her falling over and over in my head. I do not know how to tell her I am sorry without breaking her more.
That week Dana rested in silence. She wrote short lines, nothing heavy, just scraps of truth she refused to let disappear. Then came the night she could not sleep. The pressure in her chest felt deeper. She opened her journal again and wrote slowly, each word carrying both fear and love. If they ever wonder whether I loved them, let these pages answer. Dana closed the journal and rested her fingers on the cover for a moment. The apartment was silent except for the faint hum of the refrigerator and the soft shift of the curtains in the window. She tried to sit up straighter, but her body felt heavier than she remembered. She set the journal aside and lay back, breathing slow, trying to convince herself the worst had already passed. The next morning came in muted tones. Sunlight reached her room, but she didn't rise with her usual urgency. Aaliyah cracked the door open. "Mom, you want breakfast?" Dana smiled gently. "Maybe later. Just a little tired." Aaliyah nodded, but her eyes lingered on the pale color in her mother's face. Throughout the day Dana drifted from the bed to the couch, moving with care, as if her bones had turned fragile overnight. She kept insisting she was fine, but even her voice sounded softer. By evening, Ms. Bryant called to check in. "You take your time coming back. Rest. We're covering your shifts." Dana thanked her, but when she hung up the phone her hand stayed on the screen a little longer, holding herself steady. Aaliyah watched from the hallway, trying not to show her worry. Later that night, Marcus heated soup on the stove and placed the bowl in front of his mother. "Eat a little, Ma. Just try." She lifted the spoon, smiled at him, and managed a few sips before setting it down. "I'll finish it in a bit," she said. But she didn't. Aaliyah cleaned the bowl quietly, pretending not to notice how weak Dana looked. Hours passed. The apartment dimmed. Dana sat in her chair by the window, her notebook in her lap but unopened. She stared at the streetlights below. Watching strangers move through a world she felt slipping away from her fingertips. Aaliyah walked over and sat beside her. "Mom, you feel different lately. I don't know how to say it, but something feels heavier around you." Dana rested her hand on her daughter's. "I'm just catching up on years of tired. It's nothing for you to worry about." But Aaliyah felt the truth beneath the calm. She pulled a blanket over her mother's knees. "Please don't carry everything alone anymore. I'm here. Marcus is here." Dana nodded, grateful but quiet. She waited until both of her children went to their rooms. Then she opened her journal again, not to write, but to read the pages she had filled over the years. She touched the curled edges, tracing the ink as if touching the younger version of herself who had survived long nights, broken shifts, lonely meals, and silent sacrifices. She closed the book gently and whispered to herself, "One day they'll understand." The next morning, she tried to stand from bed and had to hold the wall for balance. The strength she trusted for years felt inconsistent now. She sat back down until the dizziness passed. Marcus noticed her fragile steps when she reached the kitchen. "You sure you're okay?" he asked. "I'm all right, baby. Just moving slow today. But the worry in his eyes didn't fade. Throughout the week her energy dropped more. Short walks left her breathless. She forgot small things. She sat more than she stood. The apartment felt too quiet without her steady rhythm moving through it. One afternoon, while the kids were out, Dana sat in her chair by the window again, watching the light shift across the floor. She held the journal in her hand, thumb resting on the last written page. She pressed it to her chest, breathing in the quiet. The room felt still. Her thoughts softened. A sense of peace washed over her, the kind that felt overdue. Aaliyah returned first. "Mom, you want tea?" No answer. She stepped closer, then froze, the cup in her hand rattling against the saucer. "Mom." Marcus dropped his backpack when he heard her voice break. They rushed to her, calling her name, shaking her shoulders gently, hoping she would open her eyes. But Dana's face looked calm, as if she had simply drifted into a rest she had chased for years. Aaliyah pressed her forehead to her mother's hand. Marcus pulled back, voice trembling. "I'll call the paramedics." Aaliyah reached for him and whispered, "Wait." She looked at the journal on Dana's lap. The cover was still warm under her palm. She lifted it slowly. A single page was folded at the corner, marked gently, as if Dana wanted them to find it someday. Aaliyah held the journal to her chest, breathing through her tears. "Mom, I hear you," she whispered. The house fell silent except for their quiet sobbing. Dana had gone peacefully, leaving behind the one thing she had carried longer than exhaustion. Her truth. Her words. Her love written down where no one could ever misunderstand it again. The apartment felt heavier than silence. Aaliyah sat on the couch with the journal pressed to her chest, tears slipping down without sound. Marcus paced in slow circles, wiping his face with the back of his hand, trying to breathe through something too big to fit in his chest. When the paramedics finally left and the apartment door clicked shut, the quiet felt different. Not empty. Changed. Aaliyah placed the journal gently on the table beside their mother's chair. Her fingers trembled when she opened it. "Marcus, sit with me." He sank beside her, still shaking. Neither spoke. The room waited. Aaliyah flipped to the page marked with the folded corner. Dana's handwriting stretched across it in tired ink. Aaliyah inhaled sharply and began to read. "Dana, last written truth. I tried to live loud even when my voice shook. I worked to keep you both safe, fed, and steady, even on days I felt like a shadow of myself. If my body gives out before my love does, promise me this. Do not mistake my silence for distance. I was tired, not absent. I was worn, not unloving. Everything I have ever done was to lift you too higher than I could ever reach." Aaliyah stopped reading. Her breath caught. "Mom, you shouldn't have carried so much alone." Marcus wiped his eyes and shifted closer.
I kept thinking she was made of iron. Like nothing could break her. I thought if she didn't ask for help, she didn't need any. But she was hurting right in front of us, and we didn't see it. I feel like we failed her. I feel like I should have asked more, listened more. We were too busy living to notice she was fading.
She tried to tell us 1,000 times without saying the words. I see it now. The slow walks, the long breaths, the nights she fell asleep sitting up. I thought she was just tired from work. I didn't know tired could mean breaking. I don't know how to forgive myself for missing the signs. But I want to spend the rest of my life making sure her story doesn't get twisted into something small. She gave too much to be forgotten this way.
They sat for a long time, leaning into each other because there was nothing else to hold on to. The journal stayed open between them. That night they barely slept. Grief moved through the apartment like a slow tide. The next morning, Grandma Ruth arrived. Her voice cracked when she saw the empty chair by the window. "Oh Lord," she whispered, pressing a hand to her heart. Aaliyah showed her the journal. Ruth held it carefully, like it might bruise. She opened it and read in silence, lips trembling with each line. When she reached the last entry, tears rolled down her cheeks. "She wrote like she knew time was short," Ruth whispered. "She wrote like she was trying to leave instructions for your hearts." The three of them sat together, reading page after page. The apartment felt full, almost warm, like Dana's presence had stretched out across every word. Aaliyah wiped her eyes and closed the book. People judged her, she said softly. Ms. Hernandez. Neighbors. Even us sometimes. Everyone thought she wasn't trying. But she was trying harder than anyone. Ruth nodded. Then you tell her story the right way. How? Marcus asked, voice raw. Ruth looked at him with steady eyes. You start by letting her speak. Aaliyah swallowed hard. The journal felt heavier now. Not painful, but powerful. She carried it to her mother's chair by the window, sat down slowly, and turned to a page filled with Dana's handwriting. Lines about love. Lines about exhaustion. Lines about wanting to be understood. She lifted her phone, hands trembling, and took a photo of one paragraph. Not the personal pages. Not the hardest ones. Just one truth that felt like her mother's heartbeat. If they ever wonder whether I loved them, let these pages answer. She opened her social media app. Marcus watched her. You sure? He asked quietly. Aaliyah nodded. My mother deserves to be heard. People judged her without knowing her. I won't let that be the last story told about her. She typed slowly, choosing every word with care. From my mother's journal. A woman who worked herself past exhaustion. A mother who loved us louder than her body could carry. If anyone has ever judged a tired woman, read this. She hit post. The phone screen dimmed. The room went still. The world did not change instantly. The apartment did not transform. But something shifted. Aaliyah felt it deep in her chest. The beginning of her mother's voice rising again. The first few hours after Aaliyah posted her mother's words were quiet. She made tea. Marcus folded laundry. Grandma Ruth lay down for a short nap. Life moved like normal because grief never stops the everyday things. Then Aaliyah's phone buzzed. 1 like. Then 3. Then 10. By the time she poured her tea, the post had 100 shares. She frowned, confused, and refreshed the screen. Another wave of notifications. More comments, all from strangers. This line feels like it was written for me. I work double shifts too. I felt this in my bones. Thank you for posting this. Aaliyah sat down slowly. Her hands trembled around her phone. Marcus looked up. You okay? She nodded, barely breathing. It's spreading. People are actually reading her. He moved closer and leaned over her shoulder. The post was no longer just moving. It was growing. By nightfall, nurses from different states had commented. Teachers. Single mothers. Caregivers working overnight shifts. People who had never heard of Dana Matthews, but felt like they knew her just from those few lines. Aaliyah scrolled with wide, wet eyes. Marcus, they understand her. They really understand her. He rested a hand on her back. She finally got the grace she never got while she was alive. The doorbell rang late in the evening. Aaliyah opened it to find Ms. Hernandez standing outside. Hands clasped and face soft with something close to regret. I saw the post, she said quietly. I came to apologize. Aaliyah froze for a second. She wasn't ready for this. Marcus stepped beside her, crossing his arms. Ms. Hernandez took a slow breath. I misjudged your mother. I thought I was helping by raising concerns, but I see now I only added weight she was already carrying. I didn't know she was that tired. I didn't know she was doing everything alone. Aaliyah swallowed hard. You didn't ask enough to know. Hernandez nodded. You're right. Her voice broke then, surprising all of them. If I had understood the truth, maybe I would have asked different questions. I am truly sorry. Your mother deserved better. Aaliyah didn't forgive her. Not yet. But she respected that the woman had come in person. You should remember this for other families, she said. Don't assume distance means neglect. Sometimes it means survival. Hernandez nodded again. I will. She left quietly. The apartment felt calmer when the door shut. Aaliyah exhaled long and slow. Marcus whispered, Mom would be proud of how you handled that. Word reached the hospital faster than anyone expected. Someone printed Dana's quote and taped it on the break room fridge. Someone else shared it in the staff group. By the weekend, nearly every nurse had seen it. Ms. Bryant held the paper in her hands longer than she meant to. She wrote this, she asked softly. A nurse nodded. Her daughter posted it. Ms. Bryant lowered her head. She was telling us the truth all along. Ms. Carter walked in behind her, reading the quote again. She carried this place for years, she said quietly. We should have carried her more. The two women exchanged a heavy look that said everything their silence couldn't. Later, Miss Carter called a short staff meeting. They gathered near the nurse's station, scrubs wrinkled and tired from a long shift. We lost someone who held this floor together, she said. We are going to honor her. They planned a memorial wall inside the hospital. Not a sad one. A wall of truth. A place where tired nurses could stand, breathe and feel seen. At the center of it they placed a framed photo of Dana. Not in scrubs, not exhausted, but smiling gently in a picture Aaliyah had sent. Below it they put her line. If they ever wonder whether I love them, let these pages answer. The same night the memorial went up, a community health worker reached out to Aaliyah online. Your mother's words are helping people find strength again. Would you be open to sharing more? Aaliyah stared at the message for a long time. Not because she doubted, because it felt like someone had handed her the beginning of a new path. She whispered to the empty chair beside the window. Mom, they're listening to you. She opened the journal again. The pages felt warm from being held so much. There were dozens of entries she could share. Hundreds of small truths. Lines written in exhaustion but full of love. She picked one. Not the saddest. Not the deepest. Just one that felt like her mother was sitting beside her. Love is not disappearing to prove you care. Love is staying visible even when life is heavy. If you lose yourself in the process, the people you love lose more than you think. Choose yourself enough to last. Aaliyah read it twice. Her chest tightened with emotion. She opened her social app again. She typed slowly. Another line from my mother's journal. For anyone who is tired from carrying the world alone. She wanted people to know they matter too. She posted it. Marcus watched the screen light up again, notifications rising fast. You're giving her life back, he whispered. Aaliyah shook her head. No. I'm just turning the pages she already wrote. The next morning Aaliyah woke to the sound of her phone vibrating nonstop. She blinked at the screen, confused, then sat up straight. 10,000 shares. Hundreds of comments stacking by the minute. Messages from nurses, mothers, tired students, burned out employees, all saying the same thing. She spoke what I never said out loud. Tell us more about her. She made me feel seen today. Aaliyah pressed a hand to her mouth to steady herself. She never expected the world to stop and listen to her mother like this. Marcus came out of his room stretching. You're up early. She held the phone toward him. He stared, eyebrows lifting. Ollie, this is huge. She nodded. I know. He put a hand on her shoulder. And it's only the beginning. A local journalist reached out, asking if Aaliyah would share more about the woman behind the journal. She hesitated at first, then agreed to a short recorded segment for YouTube. They came to the apartment with simple lights and a small camera. They asked her to sit by the window. The spotlight hit her softly. She held her mother's journal in her lap like something alive. Tell us who Dana Matthews was, the interviewer said. Aaliyah breathed in slowly. She was a nurse who never rested. A mother who gave more than she had. A woman who carried her family and her patients until her body couldn't anymore. She opened a page and read one of Dana's softer entries. I didn't raise perfect children. I raised brave ones. They will understand my love one day. Even if today they only see my absence. The room was quiet. Even the cameraman looked down for a moment, like he felt the weight of the words. When the interview aired, the video spread faster than the first post. People commented from states Aaliyah had never visited. Virginia, Texas, New York, Jamaica, South Africa, all saying the same thing. She sounds like someone I wish I could have talked to. These words healed something in me. Please keep sharing her voice. Aaliyah began posting entries once a week. Every post reached farther than the last. At Mercy West, the staff stood around the memorial wall they had built for her. A nurse with years of fatigue etched into her face touched the frame gently. She saved me once, she murmured. Not medically. Her words did. Ms. Bryant watched the wall from a distance, hands folded in front of her.
I didn't know her long, but I knew her right. Dana wasn't loud. She wasn't demanding. But she carried this floor on her back with a grace I have never seen. If anyone deserved peace, it was her. I wish I had said that while she was still here.
She worked through storms. Through nights I knew she should have been home resting. She never asked for help because she thought asking meant she wasn't strong. If I could take one burden off her past, it would be the fear that she had to earn respect. She already had mine long before she ever knew it.
If I could take one burden off her past, it would be the fear that she had to earn respect. She already had mine long before she ever knew it. They added one more frame under her picture. A golden plate with her name engraved. Dana Matthews. Honored for service, strength, and heart. New nurses paused in front of the wall during orientations. Some wiped tears before walking away. Some whispered thank you under their breath. Her presence lingered in the hallways she once walked. Weeks passed. Aaliyah attended a support meeting at a community center, just to sit and listen. People shared burnout stories, caregiver fatigue, and the pressure of working 2 jobs. When a woman spoke about barely sleeping, Aaliyah felt her chest tighten. She raised her hand slowly. I can relate, she said. My mom went through this. I didn't see it until it was too late. She kept everything inside because she didn't want to be judged. The room shifted. People leaned in. Her journal is helping others now, Aaliyah continued. If any of you feel invisible, her words were written for you too. After the meeting, 2 nurses approached her. Can we read more of her entries? Aaliyah nodded, eyes warm. Of course. She didn't know it yet, but that moment would lead her to create a weekly community gathering called the Working Heart Circle, where caregivers could speak without fear. Her mother's journal became the opening line for each session. One evening, Marcus walked into the living room holding an acceptance letter. I got the scholarship, he said quietly. Aaliyah looked up. Which one? He handed her the paper. The Dana Matthews Human Service Scholarship. Her throat tightened. He sat beside her. I always thought Mom's strength was something I had to match. Now I know strength isn't copying her. It's carrying her lessons in my own way. She didn't want us to be perfect. She wanted us to be present. I'm going to make sure I am from now on. Aaliyah hugged him, tears warm on her cheek. You're exactly who she raised, she whispered. A month later, Aaliyah received a message from a small publishing team. We've been following the posts, it said. If you're willing, we can help you preserve your mother's journal for others who need it. She read the message twice. Her hands shook. Marcus walked over. You going to say yes? She nodded, barely breathing. I think she wanted these words to go farther than our walls. Working with the team felt healing. They scanned each handwritten page. They preserved the worn edges. They kept her handwriting exactly as it was. Aaliyah added a foreword, simple and honest. My mother saved lives quietly. This book is her voice finally being heard. Marcus added a dedication. For the woman who taught us that love is a full-time shift. And they chose a title pulled from Dana's own words. Let these pages answer. When the book was released, Aaliyah didn't expect much. Just a few people reading. Maybe a few nurses sharing pages. But something bigger happened. A teacher in Detroit held it up in her classroom. A nurse in London taped a page to her break room wall. A social worker in Brazil cried after reading the chapter about boundaries. A mother in Kenya wrote to Aaliyah saying, Your mother taught me how to breathe again. People sent photos holding the book next to hospital beds, kitchen tables, nursing stations, and quiet corners of their homes. Aaliyah printed them all and placed them in a box beside Dana's chair. One night she sat with the shadow box and whispered, We did it, Mom. Your voice didn't stop. It just changed rooms. Months later, Aaliyah opened the journal's first page again. She traced the handwriting she knew by heart. She didn't cry this time. She smiled. Because now she understood everything her mother had tried to hold together. Everything she hid behind tired eyes and a quiet voice. I used to think loss meant silence. But losing her gave me the loudest truth I've ever carried. Her love never left. It just turned into words that kept teaching me after she couldn't. If the world knows her now, it's because she lived honestly, even in her exhaustion. And I will spend my life making sure her voice never fades. Marcus stood behind her. She changed the world, he said softly. Aaliyah nodded. No, she whispered. She changed us. The world just happened to hear it. Dana Matthews never wanted applause. She wanted her children safe. She wanted her patients treated with dignity. She wanted rest she never had time for. Her journal became the rest she left behind. A place where honesty breathed. A place where tired people found themselves again. A place where love finally spoke without interruption. And now her story lives in every person who reads her words and whispers, "Let these pages answer." Thank you, beautiful soul. If this story touched your heart, share it with someone who might need its warmth tonight. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe to Black Women's Soul, and tell us which city you're watching from. Your voice matters here, and I'm grateful you're part of this space.